Been in the gym in a long time, but I still am lean and have visible six-pack abs. And also, I have been in the gym for like 4 consecutive years. So I think I'm allowed to have an opinion on that. So here are some mistakes, specifically two mistakes that, as a beginner, I wish someone had kind of told me. Because muscle growth itself is a very time consuming process, is a very slow process. And when you make mistakes, you only make it slower. So that can, I know how frustrating it is and how mad it can make you. So the first one is to not go to failure all the time. Oh, actually, I forgot the basics. Like you get stronger on the main lifts, like dips and pull-ups and squats and deadlifts. Yeah, you probably fucking know that. If you, even if you're a beginner, you fucking know that. Even if you don't go to the gym, you know that that's what you need to do. So, and on top of that, being consistent. Yeah, be consistent. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Online Fitness Guru. I haven't thought of that. I didn't think of that. That was very fucking helpful. So the first beginner mistake, apart from like the obvious ones that I just mentioned, is to not go to failure all the time. And I know what you're thinking. Like you've been pushed to failure by all these internet influencers. And the same went for me actually. I used to train hard as fuck and to failure all the time. And you do need to reach failure a lot of times when you train. Like if you go light as fuck, then what's the point? But I want to think it. I want to think of it like fire a little bit. If you get too close, you're going to burn. If you get too far, then you're just gonna freeze to death. So, what's the right way to go about things? Like, a part of how you feel, I think, is a good indicator as well. But I want you to understand the concept of like not going to failure all the time and just putting in the reps, but without going to failure. So, what would that look like? For me, and by the way, that's what made me go from 40 kilogram dips to 50 kilogram dips. So, yeah, it does kind of work. It does, it does work, period. It doesn't kind of work. It like did miracles for me. And this other guy named Midfield Mass goes into a bit more detail about it and talks about it in a fantastic way. So basically, what worked for me was doing reps, doing multiple sets and multiple reps, doing specifically cluster sets, which I'm going to get in a minute about what they are. And I was doing multiple sets of multiple reps. Sometimes I would do that with lighter weight, sometimes I would do that with heavier weight because you can't do many sets and reps with a weight that's close to your maximum. It makes perfect sense. So some days I would do like a specific exercise, let's say dips, and I would do like 5 sets of 5 reps, of maybe even 3 reps. These this is these are the cluster sets that I told you about before. Cluster set is basically the most helpful tool that I added to my workout program in fighting forever. That's probably the most. I can glaze cluster sets for like multiple hours, but it's basically when you get one set of however many fighting reps, for example, 15 reps, and you divide that, and you do 3 sets of 5 reps with short rests in between. These short rests can look something like 15 seconds or 30 seconds. And that's basically a cluster set. So that's what I would do, a cluster set. And that would look something like 5 sets of 5 reps. On one day, these 5 sets of 5 reps would consist of 80% of my maximum weight. And I would do, let's say, 40 kilograms. And On the next day or on the next week, I would go lighter. I would do 40, I would do maybe half of that, 20 kilograms. That's a big dip. If you ask me, that's a big subtraction. But it doesn't really fucking matter. Like the point is that you are going some days lighter and some days heavier. Like obviously the you can like do a whole research on how much do you need to increase or decrease the weight. But my point is that the concept of just increasing and decreasing the weight, because most people don't do that. They just go and train to failure all the time. So that's what got me the most fucking results. Like 10 kilos in dips. That was fucking amazing. I felt fucking amazing. That was probably like the best period of my life. It was genuinely like sunshines and rainbows when it comes to my gym progress. Like it was fucking amazing. So yeah, that's what it looked like. You go to the gym, you do multiple sets of multiple reps with short breaks, but sometimes you could do like longer breaks. You break a sweat, and some days you just increase the weight, some days you decrease it. And it's kind of simple, to be honest. You can make it harder and more nerdy and be like, how much did we lift the last time? Then we can add the 20% of it, and yeah, that's a nerdier like fucking version of it. But you get my point. Do the reps. Do multiple sets, multiple reps. Sometimes I'll sometimes lighter and sometimes heavier. But let's think about it for a minute, because that's a solution to a problem. The root problem being that everyone is being fed the same fucking advice to just go to failure and do one or two sets to failure so that they don't waste time. Why? Why? Because it applies to beginners, and beginners want quick results. Ding, ding, ding. It's not fucking happening. You have to put some effort into it, and some effort and time. So yeah, that's why it sells, because it applies to beginners. Because they think that they suddenly are an exception from what has been working for all those years, which is putting time and effort to it. And suddenly they have to do this one set to failure, two sets to failure type of shit, and they're just going to magically get gains and stuff. Well, the reality of it is that it's not challenging. It's not challenging to do one set to failure, because you're picking a very heavy weight which you can't fucking lift after a while. You can do 5 reps with it and that's it. So you can't lift it to begin with. So it's not challenging. It's something that you just can't do. You aren't able to do. Whereas with multiple sets and multiple reps, you can absolutely complete one more set. You can absolutely do a few more reps, even if the weight is lighter, even if it's a bit heavier and more challenging. But the thing is that you won't do it. You absolutely can, but you just won't. I'm not saying that you always need to, as we said, some training sessions need to be lighter, but it's a different type of challenge. Okay, and most people aren't used to that, and they don't want to be part of that, even though that's what gets the most results. It's actually challenging your body and not necessarily like lifting a weight for the time, for the reps that you can't lift it. Because as I said, it's not challenging. You're just not able to do it. And another point that I wanted to make is to get and get rest. And why are lighter sessions so important? Why am I talking about this for like 10 minutes straight right now? Why is not going to failure all the time so important? Because if you don't decide when your lighter training sessions are going to be, if you don't decide when you're going to take rest and not fry your body and not go balls to the wall, then your body will decide that. And boy, you're not gonna fucking like that. Because you're basically, your body gets tired, okay? It's not a fucking machine. So, since your body gets tired, it will need more resources. Resources to actually be able to face the challenge that you put it through. And that would look something like needing more sleep, needing more food. And suddenly you are sleeping more than you want, sleeping more than you can because you probably have a job that might not allow you to sleep as much. So you are sleeping a lot more. You have a lot more food to consume. You need to consume a lot more food, which increases the chances of ordering food from outside and eating junk food basically. Because you're like, oh, I'm so fucking bored, I'm not gonna cook right now, let's just order some food. And the food that you order is 99% of the time junk food, probably. So, yeah, your body will ask you to take care of it, and it will do that by itself. Like, it will ask in a kind way, which is, yeah, get more sleep and eat more food, or in a more rude way, which is like, yeah, I'm sleeping right now, I don't fucking care, and you are. And that's kind of extreme, but you, let's say you, that might be the reason you fucking, I don't know, sleep in your, while you're driving and you fucking crash. But anyway, I think that's a little bit fucking exaggerating. That's a little bit extreme. But what's not extreme is that people ignore these signs, ignore the tiredness, like ignore the exhaustion, ignore how tired they are from all this training to failure or all this training in general. And they just don't make progress after that. But that's not the worst. Some of them, even natural athletes, get so exhausted from training that much and from overtraining, and they fucking injure themselves. That hasn't happened to me, but that's another, as I said, rude way of your body asking to, yeah, you need, of your body asking to rest and being like, yeah, you need to rest, or that's gonna fucking happen. Like, these are usually the warning signs, like, you need more sleep and you also need more food, and the injury is more like the final hit after all these warning signs. The second beginner mistake that I wish someone had told me was to choose wisely if you want to be low body fat or not, which sounds pretty obvious, like everyone wants to be low body fat. Yeah, but picture this. There's two guys. The one guy is going like bear mode and he's adding tons of muscle, but he's also adding tons of body fat because he's eating a fuck ton. And he has gotten some changes into his frame. Like, he is getting bigger obviously, but he's also a lot fatter. And yeah, you have to decide if you want to be this guy. Like, if you want to be crazy strong and have a lot of muscle without caring about the body fat, then you can sure go for it. But if you're like me and like most other people and you just want a body where you're proud to look at, like you're not disgusted when you look at the mirror, and yeah, you just want to have a nice body that you and other people, especially women, if you are a young horny man, want to look at and admire and not feel guilty about, then you have to be low body fat, because you have to realize that almost like 99.9% of the people that have a great body, and maybe of the people, whether that's fitness or models or fitness models, they all have low body fat. almost everyone that you want to look like is low body fat. Regardless of the amount of muscle, obviously there is still some muscle, but there is some muscle, like maybe a little muscle, maybe a little bit more muscle, maybe a fuck ton of muscle. But the important part of the equation is the low body fat. Like, it's the low body fat that will make your body nice to look at. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with wanting that because you you know deep down that there's nothing wrong with wanting to be low body fat and wanting women to stare at your body because you see all the guys that are low body fat and are getting rewarded, are getting stuff that you want. So you do know that it's not bad to demand something like this. So it's not bad to strive for something like this. So yeah, choose wisely if you want to be low body fat or a mass monster, because you you obviously can shred body fat even if you're a mass monster, but it will take you a lot more time. Like a guy who's already relatively lean will not need as much time compared to someone who has a lot of body fat, regardless of the no, actually not regardless of the amount of muscle. But it makes sense that someone who has more body fat will take more time cutting down on body fat to get to the same body fat percentage as a guy with lower body fat. How many fucking times did I say body fat in that sentence? Anyway, now since you've stayed that long, I think you deserve to listen to a kind of more advanced tip and something that I wish someone had told me is that muscle doesn't disappear just like that. Like, it's not that easy to get rid of natural muscle. Like, I haven't been in the gym in a long ass time. I have only been grappling and stuff and doing like maybe 10 pull ups per week. And I am still like relatively okay when it comes to muscle mass. Like, if that was to happen like 2 summers ago, 2 years ago, I would probably lose all that muscle. And I'm like, why? Why the fuck would that happen? Because hormones play a major role, actually. But yeah, my point is that if you do stuff right, if you eat right, if you eat all the macro and micronutrients needed, then it's not that easy for natural muscle to disappear. And on top of that, in the more advanced category of the gym bro mistakes, is that a truth that I came across because I've been consuming more of like primal content and stuff lately. So, and that honestly hasn't really done any bad to me. Maybe, I don't know. And because like if it was that bad to not work out, then I would have basically lost all muscle and look unhealthy as fuck, which is not really the case. Like when it comes to the health factor, maybe because I have some eye bags and stuff, but when it comes to muscle, I haven't really lost that much muscle. So despite not working out. So another thing that I want to talk about that I have been thinking is that maybe muscle doesn't equal health. Like maybe being all muscular and stuff is not that healthy. It's not directly correlated to health. I'm not saying that every jacked person is unhealthy, but it's more of like an extra, a bonus. Whereas real health, like the healthiest motherfucker you know, might not be jacked as fuck. So yeah, a realization that I had was that you go to the gym to gain muscle. you don't always get the result of being healthier by going to the gym. Obviously, there are right ways. I guess there should be, like somewhere. But you go to the gym to gain muscle. Okay, that's it. That's the whole point. But having muscle in itself doesn't mean that you're always as healthy as you think you are. And that's I've noticed that, like, especially in the gym community. Maybe people think that, okay, some of them do it through sarcasm, but a lot of them think they are healthy. A lot of us, actually. I put myself in that as well. Like, I might think I'm healthy, but in turn, not be that healthy after all. And now we've begun as a community, I would say, to realize that, because as I said, through sarcasm, there's posts like, yeah, overdosing on caffeine and all of that stuff, which is obviously unhealthy. But yeah, we have kind of realized that. So yeah, that's something that I thought, and something that maybe you need to think for yourself is that, are you really healthy if you have all this muscle? So yeah, ask that yourself and tell me in the comments what you think. That's it for the video. I hope it helped. See ya.